It's another moment to stay informed, connected, and ahead as we bring you stories shaping our nation and beyond. Thanks for joining us on the Weekday News. We begin this half hour in faraway Brazil, where Vice President Kashim Shettima will be unveiling Nigeria's green transition roadmap as Nigeria takes the lead in West Africa's climate action efforts. Nigeria is now the first country in the region to submit its third nationally determined contribution, known as NDC 3.0, to the United Nations Climate Change Convention. TVC News State House Correspondent Femi Akande reports.
United Nations Climate Change Conference in Belém, Brazil, Nigeria is setting a new standard for climate leadership in Africa. The country's latest climate submission, NDC 3.0, details how it plans to cut emissions, boost clean energy, and attract global investments for green growth.
This is, it's a turning point for Nigeria. And one of the main things we're hoping to take away is to turn all these deliverables in our NDC 3.0 into pipeline projects, partnerships, and pay for performance. Because we need to start turning this paper from paper to projects. And COP30 is where Nigeria will be doing this.
Majekodumi says Nigeria's climate plan will unlock opportunities through the newly approved National Carbon Market Framework and Climate Change Fund. She adds that COP30 offers the perfect platform to build new global partnerships, especially among forest-rich nations in the Amazon, Congo, and Guinea regions.
And that decision really gives investors a clear policy clarity and signals that Nigeria is open for high-integrity carbon investments. And that delivers real mitigation and community benefits. And so COP30 is the right marketplace to activate this framework. Belém gives us the right global matchmaking platform to be able to achieve this.
Reduction target of 32% by 2035.
Mr. Vice President will definitely be taking to the later and speaking to the spirit and body of Nigeria's intent. And talking about nationally determined contributions has always been pursued. We look forward to reducing our climate emissions in 2030 by 35%.
Vice President Shettima is expected to address world leaders at the COP30 plenary, where he will present Nigeria's new roadmap for adaptation, biodiversity, and climate justice. Nigeria's message at COP30 is clear. The country is open for climate-smart investments and partnerships that will turn its commitments into action. Femi Akande, TVC News.
We have our State House correspondent, Femi Akande, joining us live in the studio to talk to us more about this development. Thank you for joining us, Femi.
Hi,
this is quite a development for Nigeria's efforts to tackle, the impact of climate change. So talk to us about the significance, especially when it comes to doing it on an international scene like Brazil.
Well, it's quite huge for Nigeria. It also shows Nigeria's commitment, to the climate action and helping move towards achieving the Paris Agreement signed by all countries. And Nigeria is one of the first to submit its nationally determined contribution to carbon emission. And we're already seeing policies in the country. Nigeria is moving towards the EVs, that's the electric vehicles we saw in the Senate just about 2 days ago, where, a bill sponsored by Senator Ojuzo Kalu, moving Nigeria towards electric vehicles was passed. This would help significantly reduce emissions. Nigeria seeks to, adopt the use of electric vehicles. At least 30% of our vehicles in the country should be electronically driven, and then about 20% will run on CNG. These are sources of clean energy. And we've also seen renewables in terms of power generation. there are a lot of companies now involved and investing into the production of solar panels. There are so many homes in Nigeria now that even run on solar generated electricity, and these are really clean sources of energy. Unlike other countries in the region, they are kind of behind in the goal to meet that reduction. Nigeria is targeting about 32 to 35% reduction by 2035, reduction of emissions by 2035. And well, the goal is for net zero emission. That's really a tall order, but it's good that Nigeria is moving steps closer towards that, and that's what Vice President Kashim Shettima is going to tell the world at COP30 going on in Brazil.
So just a few days ago, we saw President Tinubu write to the Senate for $1 trillion Naira loan, rather. So how is it expected that they will fund this kind of project? Are we still expecting to borrow in the future? No,
we're looking for investments. Do you understand? We're looking for investment. There's what is called the green economy. Nigeria's green economy has a lot of prospects, and Nigeria is hoping that a lot of investors, and that's what Vice President Shettima is marketing there, the opportunities in that green economy, where a lot of them can come and play in that sector with the guarantee that there will be returns on their investment. We're talking about the production of solar panels, and then we also know that Nigeria is reaching solid minerals. We already have the CNGs driving most vehicles, even the electric vehicles now. Most of the batteries use lithium, and we have a huge deposit of lithium in Nigeria, especially in places like Nasarawa State. So Nigeria is expecting that big corporations, big firms would come into Nigeria, invest money in the production of all of these batteries that will be used not only to power electric vehicles in Nigeria, but also exported to power electric vehicles in both Europe, America, and the rest of the world. So it's a win-win situation. Nigeria will not really have to spend much. And there's also this green bond, climate green bond, that was issued by the federal government of Nigeria, hoping that a lot of people will subscribe. So those are the areas the federal government is seeking to raise funds to power these NDCs. Is
this solely on the federal government level, or state governments are also going to play a huge role to ensure that this works?
Well, the federal government is leading the charge, driving the process. It's expected that subnationals also are key into this to help complement efforts of the federal government. But it's a national goal, especially national determined contribution. There at COP30, the people or the body that the world, especially in the sign of that Paris Agreement, sees as responsible for helping Nigeria move towards that target is the federal government of Nigeria. So it's for the federal government now to cascade it to the subnationals, the local government. We have seen a lot of enlightenment, a lot of outreach done, a lot of efforts for reforestation, because that's one area that contributes significantly to the emission from Nigeria. There's already a plan to plant about 25 million trees in Nigeria to help for afforestation, and then, there are also other significant and sector-wide approach by the federal government to ensure that, all sectors key into this plan to help Nigeria reduce emission and begin to generate clean energy.
Thank you very much, Femi, for bringing more light to that story. We'll continue to follow up. And now away from Brazil to Canada, where experts from around the world are calling for stronger institutions, better pay for public officials, and greater transparency to curb corruption and its impact